Welcome back to another 40th anniversary posting of my G.I. Joe collection. For the past few months, I've been posting these daily on my social media. This is a compilation of my series 12, 15, 17, 23, and 24 figures. These figures are in varying states, and some have their accessories, and some do not. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and by all means leave some stories in the comments if you had some of these figures. Thank you, and enjoy. Here is Urban Assault Trooper, codename Alley Viper. Part of Series 12 from 1993. This version of Alley Viper was part of the Battle Corps line. A majority of the figures that came out that year were under that Battle Corps line. This was the only figure that I bought this year. I was a little older, and playing with G.I. Joes was pretty much out the door at this time. But this was Alley Viper, so I had to buy him. He immediately went into the bucket of G.I. Joes. This figure came with 2 different rifles, a backpack, and a missile launcher, as well as a shield. At some point in time, I lost both of his rifles. The original Alley Viper was great with just his rifle and his shield. I don't know why they needed to give him a missile launcher. I'm not particularly fond of the yellow. I like the orange way better. This was kind of sad that this was the end of my run of buying G.I. Joes, and it kind of went out on a whimper. Here is Navy SEAL, codename Shipwreck. Part of Series 15 from 1998. This figure came in a 3-pack as the Navy Assault Unit, which also consisted of Torpedo and Wetsuit. This version of Shipwreck was just a repaint of the 94 version. I do like this color scheme a little better. The 94 version was just a lot of gray with a little bit of silver accent, where this one had a lot more color variation. The only reason I bought this is because I had friends that were working at Toys R Us at the time, and I was waiting for them to get off work. I had my own money and a car, so while perusing through the store, I saw this re-release of these figures, and I thought I'd add to my collection a little bit, since I love these 3 figures. This figure didn't come with any accessories other than his air mask, so this is a complete figure. Here is Navy SEAL, codename Torpedo. Part of Series 15 from 1998. This figure was part of the Navy Assault Unit 3-pack that came with Shipwreck and Wetsuit. The odd thing about this figure, instead of just reusing the sculpt that they had the year previous, or even going back to the original sculpt from '83, or just remaking a new one altogether, they just took the sculpt from the 92-93 Wetsuit and repurposed him and renamed him Torpedo. I don't know if they've ever done that with any other figure where they just rename him and make him another guy. As a fan of the original Wetsuit, when they changed the sculpt to this, I wasn't happy. Now that they repurposed it and called him Torpedo, I'm totally cool with it. I like this sculpt. I like this paint job. Do I like this as Wetsuit? No. Do I like this as Torpedo? Yes, absolutely. I have all this figure's accessories, so this is a complete figure.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
Here is Navy SEAL, codename Wetsuit. Part of Series 15 from 1998. This figure was part of the Navy Assault Unit 3-pack. The other 2 figures that came with him were Torpedo and Shipwreck. This version of Wetsuit was a repaint of the '86 version, which was my favorite. I do really like the color scheme that they went with for this 3-pack, the black with the teal accents. This figure came with a backpack, the little propulsion sled, and air mask hoses, but I don't know where those went to. So unfortunately this is not a complete figure, but I don't think I had the original air hoses either. These figures were not really played with, hence the reason they're in such good condition. I was 18 and not really playing with G.I. Joes at this time, so this was more of a collector's item. And maybe an attempt to recapture some childhood memories. Here is Navy Assault Unit, codename Shipwreck, Torpedo, and Wetsuit. Part of Series 15 from 1998. These figures came in a 3-pack titled the Navy Assault Unit. Wetsuit was the figure that was my driving factor to buy this. I was already out of playing with G.I. Joes at this time, So this was more of a collector's item purchase, trying to recapture some memories from my childhood. I've already said a lot about all these three characters by themselves, so I just thought I'd put them together and give them their due as the Navy Assault Unit. Leave a comment and let me know if you had this 3-pack. Here is Marine, codename Leatherneck, part of Series 17 from 2001. This figure was part of the Real American Hero Collection carded 2-pack that was sold alongside Gung Ho. Over the summer I won an auction, and this guy was thrown in for good measure. I didn't actually think he was a G.I. Joe at first. I thought he was just some dollar store knockoff figure. This is not the original sculpt for Leatherneck. He looks nothing like the original 3 that came before him. The 3 that came before him all had real thick mustaches and some sort of hat. Their uniform was completely different as well. This is when Hasbro was just grasping at straws, trying to recapture the magic. I have no memories with this guy, and I almost wasn't going to include him. However, I know this is probably someone's favorite figure. I hope you had some good memories with it. If so, leave a comment. Here is the 25th Anniversary Cobra Battle Pack. Codename Cobra Trooper, Cobra Commander, Storm Shadow, Destro, and Baroness. Part of Series 23 from 2007. For the 25th anniversary, Hasbro went back to the drawing board and redesigned the figures to look more like the originals. They gave them a little more realistic design, as well as some more points of articulation for more posability. So this was a nice revisiting and bringing everything back to what we know and love. Unfortunately, the battery in the little G.I. Joe logo is also dead in this one. Part of me really wants to take them out of the package and play with them or even display them, but the other part of me says leave them in the box and don't touch them. If you had or played with any of these figures, leave a comment and let me know.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Here is the 25th Anniversary G.I. Joe Battle Pack. Codename Duke, Scarlet, Snake Eyes, Roadblock, and Gung Ho. Part of Series 23 from 2007. This anniversary edition is when they started to change and modify the figures to look more like the original figures instead of what they had become at the time, which they were big and muscly and weird looking. They gave them some more points of articulation so you could more easily pose them. As we know, G.I. Joe went off into some weird places, and a lot of us stopped collecting at the time. This was a must-have because they looked like the original, or at least looked closer to the original, as well as them trying to capture more realistic-looking versions of those characters. The battery has unfortunately died on the G.I. Joe logo, so it no longer plays the G.I. Joe theme. If you had this anniversary set, leave a comment and let me know. Here is Crimson Guard Commanders, codename Tomax and Xamot. Part of Series 24 from 2008. These figures were part of the G.I. Joe 25th Anniversary Collection. As you can see, this was a 2-pack, which I guess it kind of has to be because why would you sell twin brothers separately? But this also came with an exclusive 25th Anniversary comic book. They did release other comic book exclusive packs, but this was the only one I got. More from a collector's standpoint than actually playing with it. As you can see, I've never opened this package. This is when Hasbro got back into making G.I. Joes look like the original G.I. Joes, instead of whatever they had become. These ones just looked a little more realistic, with more points of articulation. This is one that I have contemplated taking out of the package and putting on display. However, part of me says keep it in the package.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.